Thanks for joining me. Feels like it's been an eternity since we've been doing this podcast, but welcome back, guys. Welcome back. It's been a couple of weeks without any actual live streams. 2 weeks ago, I wasn't available, so I did a special YouTube premiere where I recorded the podcast in advance, and obviously last week, following the atrocities over in Ukraine that are still going on, and that had just started on that Thursday, I didn't feel like the right time to do a podcast. Wasn't right. It wasn't right to do that, but now we're back at it. Time to catch up on all the stuff that's happened last week, and already look into what is the final week of LEC Spring's regular split, I should say. It's gone by so fast. It's gone by so fast, and yeah, let's just have a look at what happened last week, week 7 of the LEC. Little recap on all the action. Obviously, a little point on the Fnatic performance. Another 2-0 week against two, I'd say, important teams. Obviously, there was the Rogue game and the Mad Lions game. Even though they're struggling, I think they're still a strong team that hasn't really found its footing yet. And we'll dive into the Super Week prediction. 3 days of games, guys, from Friday until Sunday. I'm not sure anything can happen, but there's definitely some banger games. We'll have a look at them in the end. But before that, let's just have a look at what happened during the LEC Week 7. As you can see, current standings as they are before the Super Week. We still have Rogue as number 1 with only 1 game difference with Fnatic. Misfits, 3rd, followed by G2. So we have, I believe the top 4 is locked in. And from 5th to 8th, anything can happen. Now, with that said, first of all, XL looking to actually make playoffs for the first time at a very solid, I think it's 96% rate of success, which is pretty high. With that said, I do believe, was it last year, they were like over 90% as well, and they still scuffed it in the end. So again, as long as it's not 100%, anything can happen, guys. Anything can happen. When you consider as well that Kadril has joined them as a content streamer, anything can happen, guys. Anything can happen. In all seriousness, obviously, Excel's looking much better since the addition of Mickey, who's been performing way better than the first few weeks where he joined the team. So I think he's finally find his footing and enabling them to finally get playoffs. So I guess in the end, this addition did work for them. Vitality at the bottom, obviously, been really underperforming with really inconsistent weeks. Obviously, previous week they went week 7 they went 2-0. But who knows what happens next week? You know, they have weeks where they go 0-2, 1-1. There doesn't seem to be some real progress from their side, which is kind of alarming. And then SK and Mad Lions are kind of far away in terms of when Mad Lions is just struggling, and they actually might not make playoffs after winning LEC back to back. It's really a bit of a downfall now. Obviously, they've lost different pieces of their puzzle that they had last year, but you never expect a team that's been so successful to just drop so hard just by changing a couple of players in there. And all the way at the bottom, BDS Astralis, who are out of playoffs contention. Astralis, obviously, who went many, many weeks without wins and finally started to be a bit of an upset team that started to get wins off the top of the table. And BDS, who was just unable to really convert any of their wins. Oh, well, any of their leads into wins, I should say. So very quickly, if we have a look over at the top teams, obviously Fnatic, very solid 2-0. Even if the game against Mad Lions was a bit back and forth, they didn't look the strongest here. Mad Lions did throw a few times that allowed Fnatic to come back. So what you could say the positive was like Fnatic was able to grab those opportunities and just run with them. At the same time, it's a bit disappointing to see Fnatic get put into that position against a team like Mad Lions, who's been struggling as well. So, the slight issue in terms of drafts, obviously. No real front line, which is kind of hard to peel for like hard carries like Victor and Jinx that just like to fire the front line and be completely protected. So, still managed to pull it off, but we'll take the 2-0, but I think there's still some work to be done in terms of draft. Vitality, which is our other top team of the week. Now, this one's an interesting one because not only because they're able to get to 0 and I think secure themselves a very solid space in the playoffs. Again, I think their chances are over 90%. Now, again, super weak, anything can happen, but what I'll say is that Alfari, who's been I think getting a lot of blame on Vitality's lack of good performances, has actually been relevant outside of lane, which is a big one here. And we've seen the impact he's able to have on both the Gangplank and Gnar within those team fights when he finally decides to join. And he was definitely a catalyst, in my opinion, in the wins for Vitality. So we'll have to see if this sort of new form of Vitality, but also Alfari in a sense, continues within the Super Week, or if that was just a little spark in the weird conundrum that Vitality is today. So 2-0 week, very good for them, helps them probably secure a playoff position when they were a bit in a dire situation. But in the end, are they able to reproduce this going forward if they secure playoffs at the end of the Super Week? They're probably starting, obviously, in the losers bracket against Excel if things stay the same. What are we looking at in terms of playoffs? In a best of 5, does the sort of experienced roster within Vitality actually manage to dominate Excel and go 3-0? That'll be probably a conversation for next week once we have our locked in playoffs team. With that said, quite a few teams in the sort of flop area. So very quickly, I've put G2 mainly, and I guess you guys guessed it because they lost a game against Misfits with a 13.5 thousand lead. Gold lead, I should say. Which is, I believe, been reported as the biggest loss. No, sorry, the loss with the biggest advantage, if that makes sense. I mean, I'm probably not saying this properly, but yeah. The biggest gold advantage, and that resulted in a loss. There you go. We'll say it that way. And what's happened is that VTO just went absolutely bonkers. That's what happened, actually. And he dragged his team over the finish line. So I think that's probably also the performance that's gonna At a high percentage, I'm gonna say lock in VTO as the MVP of the split. There was obviously a big discussion between Hyli and VTO, but when you pull off performances like this, which are the definition of most valued player, um, yeah, you kind of lock in yourself for this kind of award. So obviously, not everything is set in stone. There's Fnatic versus Misfits, and we'll have to see how that plays out as well. But yeah, that was quite impressive, and I think a lot of people closed the stream after maybe the 15th minute when it looked done and dusted, and they were starting to knock on Misfits' door, and especially like taking down their Nexus turrets. And even with an open Nexus, they weren't able to finish it. Even with a Tryndamere, which is a split push menace, and they completely threw it. That was crazy. That was absolutely crazy. Obviously, SK and Mad Lions, who have signed a 0-2 week, not completely destroying their playoffs chances, but making it very, very hard for them in a sense where I believe it's not in their hands anymore to see if they can still make playoffs. And I think there needs to be very specific scenarios because they're like, if it's not under 10%, it's like under 5% chances to now make it into playoffs. I believe there's it's three win difference, sorry, between SK and Vitality right now. So yeah, that makes it very, very difficult for them to get any further in that stage, and basically prey on whoever's facing, I guess, Excel or Vitality during the Super Week to beat them, and suddenly either Vitality reproduces the first Super Week of the season, or Excel suddenly completely loses their hands and are unable to play as well as they have recently. So yeah, a bit of a dire situation for them. That got more complicated within week 7, where they weren't able to score a single win. We've seen especially Ilyoya just being quite emotive in that sense. I think he was crying on stage, which is normal because you start your rookie year on a very high with 2 LEC trophies, being on top of the world, being able to challenge top LCK teams as well, and now you're about to not make playoffs with a team of rookies who are not bad, to be honest. Like, I genuinely think that Unforgiven probably will get. It's either between Unforgiven or Zlatan for Rookie of the Split. I might go to Zlatan because he's probably gonna, well, he is gonna qualify for playoffs, so that might change the voting. And I'm not sure how it's happening now. I don't think it's. Well, I don't think it was ever to the fans. Anyways, it was always towards the pros and experts. So yeah, my bet is between Unforgiven and Zlatan for that matter. So yeah, and I wanted to go somewhere with this. But yeah, just basically sucks for Mad Lions. A lot of things are not going well. Armwood's not playing to the level he was playing last year. Ilyoya and Kaiser are not able to carry. Reeker is really disappointing, I think, and maybe there's a lot of pressure on him to, fill in the shoes of Humanoid, which is very, very complicated because Humanoid was really the centerpiece of Mad Lions. And I guess the other disappointing aspect is that there was a lot of expectation on the staff of Mad Lions, which has a reputation to, I guess, do things properly, but really able to bring new rookies in and already push them to not their highest potential, but really exploit the potential that they have when joining a newer team. So yeah, a bit of a miss on that aspect, but we'll see. There's always a second split, but Yeah, it's a bit sad to not make the playoffs at all for them. Definitely. And I've put so as a bit of a smaller one, obviously BDS and Astralis, who unfortunately will not make playoffs this time. Astralis, who I don't know if you guys follow their Twitter, but their objective now is not to make last place. Now, I will say this: Astralis looks better than BDS. Like they're much more aggressive. They play more as a unit. They just kind of lose themselves in their aggression and make some very silly over aggressive plays sometimes. BDS, their main issues is just to close and blow the game. That's all there is. They just struggle to close the game. There's been so many games where they've been ahead and one of their players just absolutely runs it down and loses their advantage. More often than not, it's usually Adam who just oversteps his boundaries and instead of just grouping up or play with his team, tries to go for some crazy like Hail Mary play that results in nothing at all. So we'll have to see as well how both of these teams adapt in the next split. Should we expect some changes? On the side of Astralis, I don't think so. I think they're going to stay the same. I think Dajor is developing nicely into this. He is like the rookiest of rookies that exists. So, I think there's definitely more space that's allowed to be given to him in that aspect. For BDS, there might be. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Adam gets benched because he's been doing a lot of bullshit. His champ pool is really being questioned, I think, and challenged. And he's really not up to par to some people in his teams like Syncroft and Nuclear Int, which seem to be the only two decent players in the team. But yeah, something to look out for during the sort of mid-season, off-season, if that makes sense, during MSI, and see if maybe some either a more experienced top laner takes over, or if they're replacing Adam with either I think it's Aggressivo who's in BDS, BDS Academy, I should say, or if they go for somewhere else completely different. But yeah, that's for a recap of the LEC, guys. I don't know what you think. Let me know in the comments. Well, in the chat or in the comments in YouTube if you're watching the VOD. Moving on to Fnatic, with a nice record of 11-4. I did not update the MVPs, which I will take care of right now if you allow me. I didn't take care of that at all. What the hell? There we go. That's one. And it's not even the right teams. What have I been doing? I'm sorry about that, guys. Let me just take care of this really quickly. There we go. Hyli sang, and the teams are not SK and Vitality. Not at all. This part of the show, I don't know. Either I forgot to save or I don't know what the hell happened. Like give me 2 seconds to fix this right now. There we go. Boom. There we go. That's one. And then we were facing Mad Lions on the second day, which is going to come here. There we go. Perfect. The Razork show, well, it was a bit of a Razork show, but I think we're going to name this one Hyli Pyke. There we go. There we go. So, starting from the start. 2-0 week, guys. 11-4. Rogue, Mad Lions, the teams we faced last week. starting with the first game, which was against Rogue. Now, obviously, Rogue being at the top of the standings, have had some first losses, but we're still looking solid, I believe, throughout the second half. So that was a big game to look forward to because it was going to be a testament of the progress we've made throughout this season, and see if if we were going to lose against them in the same fashion where Malrang was just completely taking over the map and the game on his Viego, becoming absolutely unbearable, or if we were gonna find a strat against Malrang's unique playstyle and be able to capitalize on some of the mistakes or ways that he approaches the game to take over ourselves. And I will say one thing: it's good to see Razork play with so much confidence. Especially, so here's the thing. So he was playing Diana. If you guys saw the G2 game where he also played Diana, he missed a fuck ton of ults, to put it bluntly. I think there's a bit of I think Razork overall puts a lot of pressure on himself for sure. He has a bit of that. How do you call it? Um, I'm not. Imposter syndrome. That's the word I'm looking for. He has a bit of that imposter syndrome. So I think he puts a lot of pressure on himself to perform properly. Like if you hear him during the sort of backstage segments where he's like, "Oh, I want to feel like I belong to this team because there's so many high caliber players," and he's still kind of rookie-ish or hasn't necessarily accomplished anything in the sense that I don't think he's made the finals once or whatsoever. Whereas majority of the players on his team have made finals or even won trophies, even international trophies. Obviously with Wunder and MSI. So for him, it's like he's probably looking at them like, oh my god, I'm how am I playing with these guys? Like how do I belong here? But the Rogue game was definitely a testament to the level he's capable of bringing, where he really took over the game very quickly. This time he hit all his ults. It was a bit touch and go when they went for that first Drake, and they Larson hit that massive shockwave onto him, and was it a 2-man or a 3-man ult? I know there was Hyli, Razork, and I believe Humanoid in there. It ended up with Razork getting the Drake, Offset getting 2 kills, and 1 kill I believe was for either Larson or Comp. I can't remember. So it was a very good trade. 2 for 1 and no Drake in favor of Fnatic. So I think that helped him afterwards be confident on the rest of the game, and both him and Hyli really synced properly to combine both their hooks into ultimate, and the game snowballed quite rapidly. And yeah, in terms of mechanics, this time Razork was way more on point. It was also the first game for the team in their new sort of gaming house location, whatever you want to call it, training center, whatever. So from what's been said or what I've heard, the internet is faster. I don't know if they have new equipment or they've just brought the same equipment over. The sort of structure looks a bit more professional, or in a sense like it really feels like a gaming room and not just a room within a sort of big flat in Berlin. So maybe that helps them focus a bit more. Hopefully they pay the heating bill, because I know Razork had really cold hands and he was complaining, like he was wearing a coat and everything. So yeah, so it was a great game from him. Very happy that he was able to to perform this well after, kind of questioning his performances, not feeling too great after his previous Diana game. So I just really, if we can do anything for this guy, is just send him a lot of love, a lot of support, and say, hey guys, you're worth, you deserve to be part of this team for sure, and you have the skills to be a side of guys like Wunder and Humanoid and Upset and Hyli, and you're not a stranger to these guys just because you haven't lifted a trophy yet. And don't worry, it's coming. It's coming, and it's going to come very soon if you keep performing that way. I can guarantee it. You're going to slide through the best of 5 straight into the finals, and you're going to do it. So don't let the stress get to you. Don't let the pressure get to you. Look at your teammates, play with them, and believe in yourself, man. You see what you're able to do. You're far from being the worst jungler in the LEC. I think we can definitely consider you as like probably top 3 right now, especially with your recent progress. So, keep it together, man. You've got this. You've got this. And yeah, and obviously, so the Mad Lions game. So the Mad Lions game was interesting, right? Because we get a very clean rogue game where we stay ahead, we win all these team fights, and then Mad Lions and Exchange are the ones who are pushing us and challenging us, and getting those leads. And I'm starting to question, like, are we struggling because we just don't have Twisted Fate? Like the 2 recent games that were maybe not clean, but in which we were comfortable ahead, is when we had Twisted Fate. Now, Twisted Fate feels like an instant win, at least between the hands of Humanoid. But I think it's even with the nerfs, it's a very strong pick. Like the ability to, get anywhere on the map and just stun and be a sort of utility AP, combined with the Everfrost, and then just get your team to deal all the damage that's necessary behind. Very, very powerful. Now, in the draft against Mad Lions, we had some great late game carries with the Victor and the Jinx. The only issue was that is that we didn't really have a front line, and I was expecting maybe a Gragas or something like this. I would also potentially like to see an Ornn. I don't know if it's still viable, but that made it kind of complicated for us to deal damage, especially against what was it, Rakan, Hecarim. They just run at you against low mobility champions like the Jinx and the Victor. So we got caught a few times. We didn't respect the level of engage from Mad Lions. However, at different moments within the game, Mad Lions just kind of gave it to us. There was this one time where Reeker goes for a Realm Warp onto Humanoid, who's on the top side, who completely 1v2s the whole situation, and then gets joined by Hyli and Wunder from his TP, and they get 2 important kills with the shutdown. And then there's the other moment where they try to catch Hyli towards the mid lane. Instead, they turn their focus onto Humanoid, and then Hyli, being the absolute Hyli Pyke god that he is, makes the most impressive combination of plays known to man. And it's just a show. It's just a show from there on. So just to explain, right, if you guys then check the sort of replay analysis that they did on the LEC Twitter, here's what happened. So Alyoya tries to engage onto Humanoid. Humanoid hits the Zhonya's. Rakan is right there ready to charm, knock him up. What Hyli does, so here's the pattern. Hyli charges the hook from Pyke, hooks Kaiser away from Humanoid to allow him to flash away from Charm, which forces Kaiser to dash knock up away. So that gets used in a defensive way. Now, with that said, they engage on the back line with Razork and Jinx, who blast a big fat rocket on the back line. What happens then, and that is just pure Hyli. Hyli dashes with the E. I believe hits the ult on the execution on Unforgiven, goes beyond Reeker, and flashes for the end of his stun. So within a few seconds, he just completely turns around the team fight, multiple kills, gets into Baron, and actually no, it doesn't. Does it go into Baron? I can't believe anymore. Can't remember. Because I know there was another team fight where Mad Lions was trying to do the Baron, and Razor kind of overextends in their jungle trying to catch Kaiser, and then gets completely collapsed on. But the team cleans it up in any case with Hyli getting a triple kill on the ultimate. So yeah, I don't think there was any Baron actually in this game, or maybe there was. I can't remember anymore. I've checked the game again at the beginning of the week, but I won't lie, I am super tired right now, so my memory is kind of foggy. In any case, it was an absolute banger of a game. That's all I'll have to say. Oh, look who's in the chat. Friggin' Loki. What do you want? Wish I could... shut up. Dude, come onto the podcast and talk if you have the guts, huh? Just hiding behind the chat. This guy. Believe this guy? Get out of here. But in any case, important victory to grab against Mad Lions. Secures us, I believe, top 2 position now. No, sorry, top 4. Hopefully we keep top 2. But in any case, we're upper bracket, so really doesn't matter in the end, to be honest, where we end after that. But yeah, the teams definitely look like it's gelled together, looking like one of the better teams in the LEC. You know, along with Rogue, and I was gonna say Misfits, but they kind of had a rubbish game against Vitality. When even though they won against G2, they completely got dominated. So I'm having a hard time to evaluate exactly what Misfits is worth right now, but in any case, for Fnatic, it was solid 2-0 week. I think still some draft issues to work on. We were lucky to get away with it against Mad Lions. I think against another team, it would have happened differently. So yeah, happy that we're finally, it's been a few games that we're actually prioritizing the Jinx, but I think we need to draft more frontline if we're gonna go with hyper carries and go with the Exodia, Jinx Victor combination, and potentially, it's either put Venur again on his Gragas, which he's very good on, like tank Gragas, or see him on stuff like an Ornn or even a Sion, whatever frontline. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, I think that's about it. I don't think I wanted to add anything else. Is there Loki, since you're here, is there anything you'd like to add by any chance, since you like to chat shit a little bit? Yeah, that's what I thought. But yeah, moving on to our Super Week predictions. Now, I have finally reduced the gap between you guys and myself. If you remember, there was like a 7-point gap, and now we're down to 5. Still quite a bit, but who knows? Anything could happen during the Super Week. Actually, I don't think I have enough different picks compared to you guys, so probably have to wait until playoffs to make a difference. I'm still trying to figure out how I want to make the predictions for playoffs. If I want to just make a basic one of like which team do you think is gonna win, or if I want to do like a more granular of like what's gonna be the exact score and wager like more points into it to make it more interesting, you know. So because obviously because I did the poll through Twitter, and there's only so many options you can offer on Twitter. I'm not able to put like 6 options and say, you know, Fnatic G2, for instance, which one do you think is going to win? And then put like Fnatic 3-0 G2, Fnatic 3-1 G2, and so on and so forth. So I'll have to find something. Because I don't want playoffs to just be like a 1 point score. It's not interesting. You know, we can put like 1 point if you guys find the right team, and you get like 3 or 4 points if you get the right score, for instance. So yeah, I just need to find a way to get this to work through Twitter. We'll see. We'll see. What was I was gonna say? Yeah. So for the first day, pretty much same results the whole way for both of us. You guys voted XL over G2, so I don't know if it's because it's against G2 or you genuinely think XL is going to take it over. I think G2 is going to probably improve on the sort of performance that they had last week, especially after the throw. I think they're definitely more solid than XL on that regard. BDS versus Fnatic, that's going to be a banger. It's going to be live stage as well. That's going to be very interesting to watch. Yeah, apart from that, nothing really interesting. Vitality Mad Lions, I don't know. Is Mad Lions going to have some sort of like second wind and decide to take over against Vitality? I'm not sure about that. Day two. Day two, well, we have the same results, so nothing to talk about. There's obviously the Fnatic versus Misfits game, which will be very interesting. Vitality versus G2, which for narrative reasons, Perks versus Caps. Well, Perks versus his old team, I should say. Other than that, nothing really insane. Maybe Astralis takes the game over Mad Lions. I doubt it, but it could happen. It could happen. Could see some crazy comps as well. Especially like, I don't know if it's possible that after day one that results don't matter. So if people are just gonna, you know, play for fun and go full TSM XD picks and bans. So yeah, is it possible that actually? Let me check really quickly. Like if Mad Lions lose against Vitality, which is one of the teams they're competing against to clinch the playoff, and then SK versus against Rogue, I think that pretty much seals the deal, right? It has to. Yeah, Vitality G2. Actually, didn't you guys vote for G2? For Vitality? Let me check. Did I get this wrong? I'm sorry, guys. I really did this last minute, to be honest. No, you guys voted for G2. It was a close one, but yeah. I need to stop posting those predictions last minute because I'm not getting enough votes to really determine. Yeah. But yeah, last day, final day. Again, I mean, Fnatic versus Excel, so we lost against them the first time. Hopefully, we play cleaner. I don't want to lose against them twice. I want to win against Mickey. Hyli, I want Hyli to show that he's the best support. Most of all, that's really what's important for me. Rogue versus G2, I think will be an interesting game. I think it's a good conclusion actually to the regular split. to give us an idea on what do you call it, on the strength of these two teams on the end of the season. Because if Rogue does end up being first at the end of the regular split, I think actually maybe not. They'll probably choose Misfits, which will force a. I think. Okay, so if the standings stay the same, so let's say it's Rogue, Fnatic first and second, and then Misfits G2 in whatever order, third or fourth, really doesn't change. I think Rogue goes for Misfits in best of 5, which creates already a Fnatic G2 within the first playoffs, or first round of playoffs, sorry, which will be a banger from the get go, and already an opportunity to send G2 into the losers bracket, which double banger on that sense. And everyone knows how Humanoid plays during what do you call it? During playoffs, where he plays even harder than regular splits. So yeah, that will be interesting to see. But back to my point really quickly. Rogue versus G2. I think G2 might get it because Rogue has been faltering. I'm hoping Jankos can be such a smart, jungler, and I think like a guy like Marang is not really able to outbrain him this hard. Now, what might happen is that some lane diss, especially in the bot lane, might force Jankos to try to save his lane, which then allows Marang to do more stuff on the map. So that might be the only issue, because that's what happened when it was G2 against Fnatic, is that Jankos pretty much lost his jungle because he tried to gank bot lane because they were getting absolutely demolished by Hyli Pyke. And then Razork just ran within, completely took over the top side of his jungle, and there was already like a 20 CS difference within the first few minutes of the game. So yeah, I think that's what might impact the result of that. But otherwise, pretty straightforward games, I think, overall. With little, I think, impact on the final standings. So yeah, what's fun is going to be a super week. So that means 3 days of games. So that's just the best, and probably some bangers, especially if some games have no impact. So maybe they go full XD with some Teemos and whatever, some role swaps. We'll see. But yeah, that'll be it for today's episode. There should be an episode next week as well. Probably at the regular time, 8 p.m. So I'll keep you guys posted. Make sure to follow the accounts. My personal account, Matt Scott. Oh, bless me. Sorry about that. My personal account, sorry, Matt Scott _ Twitter handle, or at the IFB podcast. I like to comment on the game days if you guys aren't able to watch it, or would like some funny memes occasionally, or just for any announcement around the podcast, obviously. So thanks you guys for tuning in. I see you guys being there, tuning. For those watching on YouTube as well, appreciate it very much. Let's go for 3-0 week, guys. Potentially, let's get first if Rogue kind of fumbles some games. But yeah, have a good night. I'll see you next week. Always Fnatic, 3-0 week. Goodbye.